Hey, what's up guys, it's me, Ben Maiden, and welcome to a little special edition of Entertainment Zone. Today I'm talking all things Walking Dead. So, as you may have heard, the man, the legend, that is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, star of Watchmen, Supernatural, The Good Wife and many, many more, is coming to The Walking Dead, playing the iconic villain from the comic book series, Negan. And for those of you that don't know, Negan has a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire that he calls Lucille. Now, one character in particular meets a gruesome demise at the hands of Negan and Lucille, and we have been led to believe that someone is going to suffer the same fate on the season 6 finale of The Walking Dead. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately. You know, I know it's coming and I've been having my own speculation. I've been reading other people's thoughts, I've been watching other people's videos, and just taking in all the speculation, mixing it up with my own speculation. And yeah, I thought, well, let's try and figure out who might meet their grisly demise at the end of the season. So if you're not up to date with Walking Dead, obviously there's going to be some spoilers along the way, and we'll be talking a particular comic book spoiler along the way too. So I've compiled a list of 5 candidates who I believe are the most likely to meet their demise at the hands of Negan in the finale. So let's start with number 5. In 5th place, it's Maggie. So spoilers for the comic books now. Glenn is actually the character who gets killed by Negan and his baseball bat Lucille in the comics. So I thought perhaps it would, you know, perhaps they'll change things up a bit and have it be Maggie. You know, we're all expecting Glenn, but imagine Glenn's reaction if Maggie were to die. And you know, she's had a lot of storylines set up. You know, she's pregnant. They're building her up as the next leader of Hilltop, like in the comic books. So what a shock it would be if all that story arc and build up was just a tease, because actually she's getting taken down by Negan. I just think it would be a neat twist on fan expectation. We've seen many a time characters' deaths from the comics be switched for another character on the TV series. You know, different characters get other people's deaths. So Maggie getting Glenn's is not within the realm of impossibility. You know, it could happen. Another reason why I think perhaps it could be Maggie is it is the baby. Are we really going to have 2 babies on the show? Both Glenn and Maggie's baby and Judith? Seems unlikely to me, though it could be possible that you know, later on Maggie could have the baby and have Laurie's death, you know, which, if you don't know, research it, pretty gruesome, because Judith dies as well, and perhaps they're going to save that if they do go ahead and have the kid. Maggie's number 5 on my list because of the 5 I've compiled, I think it's the least likely to happen, but again, it's not within the realms of impossibility, so who knows. At number 4, it's Carol. Carol from season 1 has always been one of my favourite characters, and if anyone's had a massive character arc on this show, it's Carol. You know, gone from battered housewife to killing machine. But lately she has had the crisis of conscience, you know, in the episode where her and Maggie were kidnapped. you know, there's been speculation amongst fans, was she putting on this weak act, or was she genuinely feeling like, oh god, I've done some terrible things, and she was getting upset and panicked about it, especially following on from her fights with Morgan as well. You know, they're two very strong forces with conflicting views, and you know, I think Morgan's really got into Carol's head. So if he's, you know, psychologically starting to break her down and giving her all this self-doubt, or as I said, this crisis of conscience, then Carol could very well be on a slippery slope. You know, she could be starting to let her guard down. You know, if she's starting to worry about morality, whether what she's done is right or wrong, and whether she should continue doing it. She's having this crisis of conscience at a very, very bad time. And whilst Carol's one of my favourite characters, if not, she is my favourite character on the show. Melissa McBride, my favourite actress on the show, one of my favourite actresses on television, actually. I just think she's phenomenal, and I'm so glad I had the pleasure of meeting her. But what an end this will be. You know, she's had such a great character arc, so meeting her demise at the hands of Negan and Lucille will be a fitting end to her. However, I still think there's a lot more to come from Carol. She's one of the most intriguing, complex characters on the show, so I'm crossing my fingers that she isn't going to be the one who bites the dust. Something else I want to say at this point as well is that in the comics we kind of, you know, get the feeling that, you know, Negan is against hurting women and killing them, you know, unless he really has to, I guess. But they could change it up in the series, but if they honour the comic books, then perhaps Maggie and Carol will be safe. Okay, so at number 3, it's Abraham. So, Abraham, okay, he's been getting a lot of focus in the last couple of episodes. In fact, since the second half of season 6 started, we've been seeing a lot of Abraham. He's another person who's, you know, been thinking about his own life. You know, does he want to be with Rosita or Sasha? Does he see himself having a future in this world? Would kids be something he would be able to conceive, you know, having in the future? You know, would he want to be a father? He had his big breakup with Rosita, you know. So there's been a lot going on for Abraham, and usually if we've learned anything from watching this show, when a character gets a lot of focus, it usually means they're on their way out. So I'm feeling very worried for Abraham as well, and he's a great character as well, and I think Michael Cudlitz does a great job of portraying him. Now obviously Denise we've just lost, and she has had Abraham's comic book death, which makes me think, if they're not going to give Abe his own comic book death, could they be saving his demise for something bigger? And what comes bigger than the Negan Lucille baseball bat to the face death? You know, it would be a real shocker, and I think it would really show how imposing Negan is, you know, taking down this, you know, big strong soldier man. You know, Abraham's a big tough guy, so it would be a shock to see him go. The only thing that makes me think Abraham might be safe is that whilst he's popular, he's not one of the most popular characters in the show. He's popular, but he's not on the levels of Rick, Daryl, Carol, Michonne, and Glenn, and maybe even Maggie as well, I might put on that list. And my thinking is, if they're going to introduce Negan and make the audience hate him and make him, you know, this big bad villain, even worse than the governor, the best way to do that is to kill off a beloved character. And whilst Abraham does have a lot of fans, he's not the most popular character, and that's why I think maybe he might be safe. So at number 2 on my list, it's Glenn. So Glenn, okay, boy, it will be a real shame to see Glenn go. Stephen Yeun is just phenomenal, and I've actually been marathoning the series recently because I'm just loving season 6 so much. I had a great time at Walker Con in London, and I'm just everything Walking Dead at the moment, so I decided to re-watch the series. And you know, it made me think about how much Glenn is one of my favourite characters, and this story arc he's gone on, he's developed so much from the young man calling Rick a dumbass and driving around in a sports car to becoming this very grounded, very moral and strong member of the team. And he's an original from season 1 too, so his death, you know, having one of the long-term cast like Carol, Daryl, Glenn, Rick or Carl, any of them going would be a massive shock, because we've been through so much with them. And you know, Glenn's been through so much. You know, he's been the young kid, he's had his relationship with Maggie, you know, he's dealt with the loss of like Herschel and Beth and Nicholas. You know, he's been separated from Maggie and found his way back. They've had an epic romance story, and as I said, he's always been a morally grounded character. And recently he did make his first human kill, which is gonna obviously play on his mind a lot, and I think it's gonna have huge consequences for Glenn. And you know, I can't help but feel that perhaps that kill could signal the beginning of the end for Glenn. You know, he's made his first hard decision and his first human kill, so you know, is karma coming his way now, and Lucille's gonna bash his face in. And we've, you know, Glenn's always been the guy who's survived. You know, he's had so many fake out deaths or near death experiences, so to finally be killed off would be a real shame, but it'd be a big moment. And as I said, he is the one who is killed by Negan in the comics, so it would make perfect sense. The only thing I'm hoping is that, or maybe thinking, is that, as I say, character deaths have been shaken up from comic to screen, so this could be the case with Glenn's. Robert Kirkman's been talking about the comic death openly, so would he do that if they're going to do it on the series, or is that a double bluff? And because, you know, if people are expecting it, will it have the same impact? And a part of me thinks, because they had the fake out death in the first half of this season, maybe it will cheapen Glenn's death, who knows. But he's definitely a strong contender to be Lucille'd. So number 1, it is Daryl. And I know what you're going to say, if Daryl dies we riot, but it's looking like a very real possibility now. You know, I know there's a lot of you out there who would be devastated to see Daryl go. I think he's a cool character, but for me personally, I think his time has come. I think his arc is near enough complete now. He's not having as much to do lately, and I can't really see much more progression for him. It feels like a natural time to go. He is one of the, well, he is the most popular character on the show, and Norman Reedus is probably the most popular actor on the show. So would it damage the ratings losing him? Yes, but as I said earlier, if they want to make Negan this big bad villain, killing off Daryl would be the best way to do it. People would hate him, and you know, we've got new characters coming in to fill the Daryl role, like Dwight, who's very much like him in the comics, and of course we've got Jesus, who's already amassing a big following. So, you know, it could be a possibility. We know Norman Reedus has done a lot of film work lately. He's doing a new series for AMC about motorbikes and travelling across America, so that's going to take up a lot of time. So it could happen. Both Melissa McBride and Andrew Lincoln have said, you know, how distraught they were both filming and reading the finale, and you know, both of their characters have huge ties to Daryl. I know Lauren Cohan, who plays Maggie, said the same thing, so that could equally apply to Maggie and Glenn. But again, Daryl's been there from the beginning. It would be a huge shock. Norman's got a lot of work coming up, and I think people would just be gobsmacked. And as I say, I feel Daryl's story has come to an end, so I think it's a very real possibility now. The only other theory I've heard, guys, as well, is could they kill off Rick? It would be a bold move, because Rick's been there from the beginning too, but for me, Rick and Carl are the central characters. I don't think either of them will ever get killed off, and I don't think anyone could assume the Rick leader role, so I think Rick's safe. My money's on Daryl right now. Also today, I read a post from someone saying on IMDb for the finale, Emily Kinney, who plays Beth, and Michael Rooker, who plays Merle, are credited for the finale. And if they are going to be in it, who has the biggest connections to those two characters? Daryl. Could it be a, you know, a ghostly appearance from them, a la Tyrese's death? Very possible. But of course, IMDb, you've got to take it with a massive pinch of salt, so who knows. Let me know in the comments, guys, who you think is going to meet their death at the hands of Negan and his baseball bat Lucille. We are so close to the finale now. I can't wait for it, and it's going to be a big one, guys, and I'm sure we're all going to be in tears at the end of it. But who goes? We'll have to wait and see. Remember, guys, for the latest film and TV news and reviews, be sure to subscribe. You can find me on Twitter at BLMaiden, and Entertainment Zone's also on Tumblr at entertainmentzone.tumblr.com. Until next time, though, take care, guys, and speak to you soon.